For almost 30 years, Voller Law Firm has been winning serious injury and death cases for clients. They have collected millions of dollars on behalf of their clients and belong to the prestigious $1 Million Advocates Forum. When insurance or a wrongdoer won't pay for what they took from you, go with an award-winning firm with a track record of results. At Voller Law Firm, results matter. Make sure you go with lawyers that have the experience, ability, and financial power to hold those that hurt you accountable. Put your trust in Voller Law Firm. Give them a call at 662-323-0083.
You're listening to Thunder and Lightning on SuperTalk Mississippi, covering Mississippi State sports like nobody else. With Sports Talk Mississippi's Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk of On3 Sports. Now get ready for Thunder and Lightning.
This is Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk here with you on a Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us here at supertalk.fm or wherever it is that you get podcasts from. We appreciate you guys out there, our great listeners, especially our servicemen and women out there taking care of us. I want to thank our sponsors over at Strange Brew Coffee House and Churn and Spoon Ice Cream. Start your day the right way with a trip to the drive-thru over at Strange Brew Coffee House here in Starkville or at Brupolo over in Tupelo. It would be a little weird, Robbie, if Brupolo was in Lackey.
That'd be a little weird.
Yeah. We did get a correction yesterday. I gotta be the one that we did. Sabino is not correct.
Sabino.
Huh? No. Sabina.
Sabina?
Yeah.
That's not right.
I was told that the Godfather's family has some land in that area. So
that sounds wrong.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you what I was told. So wherever you are in our great state, you can enjoy Strange Brew Coffee each and every day. It's just a click away at strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. The Mississippi Beef Council wants to remind you that beef, it is what's for dinner. If you're cooking out this weekend, nothing beats the sizzle of beef on the grill. The steaks were really good at Brian Hadad's house last night, and they can be good at your house tonight. That's the thing about steak, too, is that it's easy to cook. And I'm one of those guys, like during the week, Robbie, when I'm making sides, we're going super easy, right? Like instant mashed potatoes, little bag of green beans that you microwave and they're done, put a little seasoning on. The steaks were the hardest part. You know, what's that, 15 minutes tops to cook 3 steaks? Just to get them seasoned and let them come up to temp a little bit and then put them in the pan. Yeah, it's easy. So weeknight meals, beef should be the star of the show. Go to msbeef.org if you need recipes. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Thanks to our friends, the Mississippi Beef Council. College Corner, collegecornerstore.com is the place to find the maroon and white merchandise that you're looking for. Are you looking for Starkville versus everybody shirts? Guess where they have them? College Corner. If you're looking for great gear with the Mississippi State interlocking logo or the state script, guess where they got it? College Corner. Everything maroon and white under one roof. Everything for your tailgate, for your car, for your house, for yourself, whatever it is, they've got it at College Corner. 2 locations in the Jackson area. Ridgeland by Fleet Feet, flow over the half shell, or you can shop online at collegecornerstore.com. Restaurant Tyler is Starkville's flagship restaurant for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. The best meal in town is always going to be at Restaurant Tyler. A trip to Restaurant Tyler for dinner is always a special occasion, but he doesn't have to, that's the special occasion. You don't have to have an anniversary or a proposal or anything like that. Just go eat there and boom, special occasion. Best steaks in town, great pastas, great chicken, fantastic appetizers, and of course, for dessert, you can't go wrong with the stuffed pancake. If you want to have a great meal, not a good meal, a great meal, you need to go to Restaurant Tyler. Priority One Bank, 16 locations to serve you throughout central Mississippi. Let PriorityOneBank.com be your guide and show you not only how they're going to help you invest and manage your money, but how they're going to help you prepare for the future. Now more than ever, when you have questions about your money, you need answers, talk to the good folks at Priority One Bank. They'll have a relationship with you just like they have with your money. Let Priority One Bank make you their priority. A little later in the show, we're going to talk to Charles Arbuckle from ESPN. He will be on the call this weekend with that scalawag Richard Cross at Davis Wade Stadium. Wanted to get his thoughts on what he's seen from Mississippi State thus far this season. This is what I wanted to talk about, though, Robbie. If we go back a year ago, Mississippi State's opening game, played an FCS school. A dominant margin of victory, 56-7 was your final score, right? But watching that game, you and I both thought, especially defensively, State was not dominant. They had trouble stopping the run. They couldn't rush the passer. And we left that game going, defensively, they got a lot of work to do. We didn't know how bad it was going to be at that time, but we knew that it wasn't right. So I guess my question is, that this with what we've seen this year defensively, I expect this defense on Saturday to be dominant. I expect them to completely control the line of scrimmage, to be able to rush Alcorn's passers, as much as they want to, and be in complete control from the first snap of the game. I'm not asking too much there, am I?
No, I think what you want to see is by the third quarter, we're starting to see Luke Kromenhawk and
Yeah.
Kamario Taylor get the bulk of the snaps. Like it's that dominant of a performance in the first half. That's what you get. And a lot of times it doesn't work out that way, especially after you get a big time win. If Mississippi State was playing Arkansas
Oh
or
man.
Missouri or Tennessee after the Arizona State game, I would predict a loss.
It's like you listened to my interview that's coming up with Charles Arbuckle. I asked him that exact question. And you're completely correct. The scheduling gods have smiled on Mississippi State here. If they were playing an SEC game, I would not like their chances against anybody because I think the hangover is going to be real. The good news is you can play this game hungover and still win it easily.
And also, if Northern Illinois was your opponent, I'd be a little concerned.
Mm.
If that was who you're playing this week,
Yeah.
I'd be a little concerned. That's a team that's a program they've won big games before in big environments. They beat Notre Dame last year. I would not want to play Northern Illinois this week. And I think State's a much better team than Northern Illinois, but with the distractions that come from everybody patting you on your back this week. Yeah, I was just talking to Starkville coach John Carr, and we were talking about the State game. And I was telling him like the same thing. That's what you faced with West Point. That's like Mississippi State playing LSU after beating Arizona State. You had a great win against Arizona State. What happened with Starkville and West Point, that's what I would expect would happen if State had to play this game after the Arizona State game against a really good SEC team. So I think that the fact that it's Alcorn State, that helps a lot. And it's probably going to be a little muddy early, if I had to guess. There might be some sleepwalking in that game. Hopefully, State comes out and they're locked in and they look like, how they acted on Monday. Because the players, I thought, on Monday were very laser focused. Were the demeanors were focused on the next game, things like that. It wasn't like they were cocky or anything. I liked how they attacked the press conference and the new week. Hopefully that's what you see, because when you get in a game, it's completely different. But hopefully that's what you see in this game. You're probably going to see some guys sitting out in this game that have been banged up, that they don't want to get injured further than where they are right now. So, this is going to be a game where I think your depth's going to be used a lot. Your younger guys are going to play a lot of snaps. Hopefully Mississippi State comes out and attacks this game in the same manner that it did Southern Miss, at least in that second half. And they treat this game like it should be treated, like they did in that second half against Southern Miss. You're not going to see them come out juiced up like they did against Arizona State. That's an unrealistic expectation. But if they can be half of that, I think they win this game going away, and we get to see some of those younger guys get in there and play. That's the goal of this game. Everybody stays healthy, and you get a ton of experience for some of these younger players. A full half of Kamario Taylor and Luke Kromenhawk would be ideal. And that's something that those guys can build on going in the next season.
So Mississippi State updates the depth chart. Obviously, Will Whitson no longer on it, neither is Blake Steen on the other side of the ball. You look at that, Jere Bledsoe is a guy who I know had some injury issues Saturday, but he's listed on the depth chart as the first team. You got Kedrick Bainley-Jones, DJ Reed. Pick a guy for me, Robbie. Somebody on this defensive line that you think can fill the hole that Will Whitson is leaving here.
I think it's going to take multiple guys. I don't think there's anybody on the line like Will Whitson.
No.
He was really good against the run, but he was also good against the pass. So it's going to take multiple guys. They're going to have to get creative with how they're blitzing. The linebackers have got to be better. I don't think the linebackers have been great.
They've been great, yeah.
So, two, I think the middle of the defense, those guys, the defensive tackles, Calvin Dinkins, Jamil Burrows, those guys are going to have to play at an elevated level now to open up opportunities for Deontay Anderson, Travion Williams. Red Hibbler's going to have to step up. I really think it's just going to take other players stepping up. Like I said on Monday, I think that the ceiling has dropped a little bit for Mississippi State's defense with the loss of Will Whitson, and that's just a fact. I mean, you lose a player of that caliber, you're not going to be better.
Yeah.
There's no way the State's going to be better because of that. But you can sustain that loss if you have other players that are elevating their play. If Deontay Anderson's playing a lot better than he's been playing, which, by the way, he's been playing really well.
He's been good these first two games.
I thought Travion Williams was better on Saturday. He's going to have to be more dynamic. Red Hibbler's going to have to be more dynamic. They've just got to have that whole crew step up. And then, the Jacks right behind them are going to have to be better too. Brandon Jennings and Malik Silla. Silla was in the backfield a few times in the game the other day. So was Brandon Jennings. So I think that that defense is still going to be okay. I'm not of the opinion that some people with the knee-jerk reactions that came on Monday that this is going to cost them 2 wins. I'm not of that opinion. I don't think that's the case. But they will have to be much better at those positions with Will Whitson out to be competitive in this league. If they want to be competitive in defending the run and getting after the quarterback and limiting other teams' offenses, they've got to be better at those positions.
Let's go ahead and go to that interview right now. I talked earlier today with Charles Arbuckle, former All-American tight end, former NFL player, and now doing commentary for ESPN. And as I said earlier, on the call this weekend in Starkville for Mississippi State versus Alcorn State. Let's go to that right now. Of course, all of our interviews here on Thunder and Lightning are brought to you by Allura Modern Wellness. I was at Allura Modern Wellness this past Friday, had some back issues. It's like, I got to do something here. So I went and saw my friend Rich Lopez, got in the cryo chamber, and walked out. And as I say all the time, I felt better walking out than I felt walking in. Whatever is ailing you, whatever you need to do to aid in your recovery, Allura Modern Wellness has a solution for you. Heat, cold, stretch, relaxation, it's all right there for you at Allura Modern Wellness. Check out the website, alluramodernwellness.com. You can book any of their services right there online. Allura Modern Wellness brings you this interview with ESPN's Charles Arbuckle. Joined now by Charles Arbuckle for ESPN. He'll be on the call this weekend for Mississippi State versus Alcorn, along with some guy named Richard Cross. We don't need to talk about that guy.
Yeah, let's leave that guy out of this one.
Any way, shape, or form. I'm going to start about a question about being a commentator for a game like this. Mississippi State SEC team versus an FCS team. It's a game that in all likelihood is going to get out of hand probably pretty early in this one, be a little one-sided. As a commentator, how do you come into a game like this? What are you prepared to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you give the game justice, right? You work through all the different angles and you work with both teams, even though on paper and then watching film. This week, I had the same setup last week when we called South Carolina State, South Carolina. And I kind of told people, though, I thought with that game being a state game like this one, South Carolina State actually has some pretty good weapons, and they hung around for about a quarter and a half. But the games like this turn with special teams, big plays, all of a sudden, people lose focus. I mean, there was 2 punt return touchdowns back to back with a guy that you just don't kick the ball to. So, and then the game becomes a blowout. I think the one thing you want to do is give justice to both teams. I mean, there's a lot of history with Alcorn. Mississippi State is coming off of a huge win. So what I think is that could also kind of have them sleepwalking, because no matter how many times the coaches tell you, I can remember us playing Long Beach State. And did I prepare for Long Beach State like I did for Nebraska? In my mind, I did, but did my body do it? So I think those are the things that you have to look at and just hope that the guys for Alcorn come in and don't logo stare and say, hey, look, let's go get these guys. Let's give them all we can and stay healthy, because I think that's the key game with this. And hopefully we don't have a lopsided game where we have to start telling some stories and just talking about these guys and the history and the legacy of both programs.
If you need stories about Richard, just hit me up. I'll be in the press box next door. I got plenty.
Okay.
You kind of hit on what I wanted to ask, though, because as a former player, coaches talk about we're on to the next game and we're focused 1 week at a time. And I know that as a player, you have a win like State had on Saturday. That's got to linger with you a little bit. As a player, how quickly can you turn the page to the next week, especially when you have an opponent that you know that you kind of outmatch?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question because I almost call those hangovers,
Yeah.
and I think they can happen, and they do happen. You got to learn how to get your team fired up, and I always say this: coaches can coach harder when you have big wins, especially like that win for Mississippi State. That was a huge win for them. I mean, I just look at Mississippi State because I've had the chance in the last 3 weeks to call three teams that are trying to claw to that next level of the SEC power, so to speak.
Right.
Vandy, week one,
Hmm.
playing a team that they, eventually just dominated. South Carolina, week two. Vandy and South Carolina play this week, and now Mississippi
Big game.
State.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think for them, the best thing that Jeff Lebby can do and his staffs are coach them even harder after that big win because it's going to be a hangover effect. They're going to be people all week. Hey, man, great job. We got Arizona State, a top 12 team. We did. And the coaches have to figure out how to cut out all that noise. And the one way you can do it is to say, okay, are we going to play our best ball against a team that we know we should dominate? And if they don't, then that gives them another reason for the next week to say, yeah, we may have won whatever, whatever, but we didn't play up to the standard that we need to play. And think about last week. They were that close to losing the
Yeah.
game. So you have to figure out how to use what you did in a good way, but also in a way that you can coach even harder.
Is this a game where if Mississippi State was playing Tennessee or Texas A&M this week, you would be really concerned about that hangover?
I would be concerned about it, but I'd also know that they'd be very prepared because they know if you're playing a team like Tennessee with Joey Aguilar now, who can fling the ball, and you're going to see him in a few weeks, right?
Yes. Yes.
Luckily, you have him at home. That's one thing. And I'll say this: next week against Northern Illinois, I don't know their record, but I know Thomas Hammock has been a dragon slayer, so to
Yeah.
speak, if he needs to be. And I've watched him since he was playing for Northern Illinois. I don't know what their record is, but you can't sleep on them. But Tennessee is one, and then at A&M. So I think what coaches start doing is we in the media, and myself included, just start looking, oh, what about this? What about this? You
Yeah.
really have to start saying, we're playing this 1 week at a time,
Mhm.
one play at a time, and make sure we stay focused on that.
I tell people all the time, like, I can look as far ahead as I want. I'm not the problem. It's other things. Let's talk about Blake Shapen. I
Yeah.
think he's played at a pretty good level thus far this year. 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. All four of his touchdown passes are 40-plus yards. So that score from far thing that Lebby likes to say all the time is happening. What do you like from what you've seen from Shapen thus far, and what don't you like?
I think he's done a pretty nice job protecting the football. I'd like to see his average completion percentage go up, which I think is the one area in that offense, when you're at 65 to 70, 75%, you're really rolling. I know they've had some drops and some different things, but last week it seems like that second half they got on the same schedule. And the same schedule to me means you get to Brendan Thompson, right?
Yeah.
You find him, or the way this offense is designed, as you know, with the Baylor, Tennessee principles, you spread them out and then you just find holes and gaps. I also think the other key for this team is as they run the football better, it makes Blake Shapen better. And I think that's the one thing with people. I always look at these Art Browse, Josh Heupel offenses. We look at the pass and we get enamored with that. But if they're running the football very well, it sets up so many things because your box, you have to come in the box, but you're so spread out. How do you guard against that? And I think that's where I like what Jeff Lebby and his offense has done about explosives. But I also think when they're running the football effectively, it makes Blake a lot better.
Yeah, when you want to get on Lebby or Heupel's good side, just talk about what a run first offense they coach. They love to hear that. I'm gonna put one in your wheelhouse as a former All
Okay.
American tight end. I like Seydou Traore a lot. I think he's got a lot
Yeah.
of tools and could be
Mhm.
a big time player, but he has a tendency to disappear sometimes. No catches
Yeah.
last week for Mississippi State. What does he need to do to take that next step in his game?
I think it keep improving. I mean, there's not a whole lot of football played in London, England, right?
Yeah.
But he, a kid that's transferred in, and I've kind of watched him over the course of his career, and I expect a big season from him. I think the one thing for him is to find out where he fits in that offense consistently. Sometimes those spread offenses don't allow you to be, maximized the way you can be. But I think what he and Levy and that offensive staff have to continue to do is understand that that's the biggest matchup problem you have, especially if you have guys outside the numbers. In between the hashes for me is where I live. As a tight end, that's where I make my money. And so I think that's what I expect to see from him consistently, not just this game, but really in some of these key games coming up. That's going to really help them because I told people this year I'm doing the Colts, some of the Colts radio broadcasts on the road. And I've told people, I said, Tyler Warren, when I saw him in the first preseason game, but I actually saw him in practice because I watched him last year at Penn State. I said, he's going to catch 70 passes if he stays healthy. And people were like, well, how do you know? I said, because they can't cover him. He's an issue inside and outside. And oh, by the way, he's a willing blocker and can knock your ass in the dirt if he needs to inside. So
Yeah.
I said he gives you problems in places that you can't. And I think that's the one thing that I look for with tight ends to see if they're willing blockers. Haven't seen enough film on Sadu, but I think from what I've seen at his size, he still looks he's got to put some more bulk on, but he's a real matchup problem in the pass game if he needs to be.
This team a season ago defensively, whatever bad words you want to use to describe them, that's what they were. They were the worst defense in the SEC by a large margin. It's only 2 games, but they look better at every position. Is it just a matter of they're just more talented this year, or are you seeing something from them that go, okay, they fixed this?
Yeah, I think the one thing people rail on the transfer portal, but what I've seen from Vandy, South Carolina, and now on film, Mississippi State is they didn't do what I do when I go to Costco and I'm looking. My wife says, I come in with $100 in my budget and you make it $200.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They came in with $100 and they got the value items. They didn't go off kilter and got some key, consistent people to come in and play. And I think defensively, that's what they needed. And you said one word I really like that's in my wheelhouse right now is putrid. Defensively, they were putrid.
Dude, that is a word we use on this podcast all the time. My listeners will tweet at you and go, putrid, yes, go, keep going.
So yeah, I mean, but when you look at it now, a guy like Brandon Jennings, Nick Mitchell, and I'm not saying transfers only, but I'm saying the transfer guys that have come in have made the guys that were already on this team better because it's elevated you. It's made you see. And I've even heard that when we've talked to some of the defensive players that we've gone to visit at campuses, they said, hey, this guy came in and right away he made us better because he was doing this, and this. And that's what I see with this defense. When I watch him on tape, you could see it. Arizona State was really getting after him. And then you saw a bunch of guys saying, hey, they're not going to kick our butt like they may have done in the past. We've got to find a way to get our offense the ball, make sure we make plays, get some stops, and turn this thing around. And I saw that, and looking at their tape this year, that's what I see more of. Last year, I didn't see that. I did not see that at all.
Didn't exist. This is your first trip to Starkville?
No, I've been to Starkville a couple of times.
Okay,
so Vegas.
I don't know that the Arizona State people were prepared for the Cowbells.
Yeah. Well, they need to go watch the Will Ferrell episode as loud as you can.
Did it go?
Yeah. Because my ears were ringing. I didn't realize the first time I got there. Was it was the Dan Mullen era, and my ears were just. And people kept saying, "Bring things to cover your ears." I said, "Well, I'm calling the game. I can't do that. I got to listen to what's going on."
It's just the way that it goes. Charles, looking forward to seeing you in the press box on Saturday on the call with Richard Cross for Mississippi State and Alcorn. Charles Arbuckle, thanks so much for your time, man. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. I'll try to keep the game above the board because I don't know what Richard sometimes, he
don't
needs more cowbells or something.
That's what he's doing these days.
Well, no, I will not let him do that. He tries to be slick and all that, but no, we got it covered.
Just bring up how much money he has. He loves to talk about that. So,
okay,
thanks,
all
right,
take care. All right, take care.
So as you hear there, he is in agreement with you, Robbie, that, if State was playing a better team, this would be a concern. I liked what he said about Lebby being able to coach his team harder this week because they're getting all these, the pats on the back outside of, we'll use a Lebbyism, right? And outside the building, they're getting a lot of attention and pats on the back. Inside the building, maybe you have to be a little harder on those guys this week to keep their focus. And you can do that after a win. If you try upping the intensity after a loss, that's how sometimes you a team will get away from you. Like, why are we trying so hard? This team coming off of a win, I feel like is ripe for that, for a jump in the intensity. So I'm interested to see if that is indeed the case. But I mean, you can tell he's very impressed with what he's seen from Mississippi State early in the season. But at the same time, I think he would agree with us that there's a long way to go on this road. They aren't anywhere yet. They're just making the trip right now. But I think by and large, he expects this game to go the way we all expect it to go this weekend. But at the same time, I think what you're saying is a good point. That early in the game, if it's not so clean, that's not overly surprising. They'll take over by the end. But if they come out sharp in this one, Robbie, I think that's a really, really good sign for something we've been talking about, that this team is buying into Jeff Lebby. They listen to what he says, and they're all on the same page. Coming out early and establishing themselves will go a long way to showing that point as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you hear from the players. Nick Mitchell the other day said we gotta learn how to, we take a win and we flush that just like we did a loss. We gotta learn how to handle how to win. And this is totally different. Lebby has talked a lot about keeping the message the same when he comes into the room and things like that. And I think the tone has remained the same and everything, but this is a totally different situation than what he dealt with last year.
Yeah.
When we think about last year, he's constantly having to lift these guys up because they're going out and they're working their butt off every week at practice, and then they have no shot of winning these games. And they're playing hard every Saturday and can't win. And you think about some of those upperclassmen, those guys that are not going to see any benefits, that are having to continue to go out and work hard. Well, now he's got to preach about maintaining themselves after big wins. And that's a little different messaging than what he's dealt with the last 2 years, or the last year, what Mississippi State's dealt with the last 2 years. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Do they come out? Do they have that demeanor about them where they're kind of sleepwalking through the game? Or is this team, are they just going to be kind of steady? Are we just going to see this team just come out and handle their business most weeks and not get too high or too low? That would be ideal, but you're still dealing with guys that, a lot of these guys are still kids. I mean, they're fresh out of high school or a couple of years out of high school. They haven't experienced a whole lot of, this winning stuff or any kind of adversity or whatever. So, the Brennan Thompsons, the Blake Shapins, I have no concern about those guys. Isaac Smith, I think they're going to play their game every week, and they're going to handle themselves in a business-like manner every single week. But there's a lot of guys on this team that, that you're dealing with 100-plus players that you're having to lift up or bring back down to earth every single week. That's a tough job, man. So I don't think it's a concern, because I think State's going to win this game big still, just because the talent level is just so far away. I think State can sleepwalk in this game and still win comfortably. But for your team and where it's going in the next few weeks, you need them to come out and handle this game like business. So hopefully that's what you see on Saturday.
I feel like with Chapin, Thompson, Smith, maybe Albert Reese, I feel like that's the core of the leadership. That's a really good group of guys. Like, if that's who's leading your locker room, I think you got to feel pretty good about that.
I thought it was interesting, Blake Chapin, and I don't usually buy into the players only thing, those meetings.
Right.
Usually that's like last ditch effort stuff. But he said on SEC Network yesterday or day before, whenever it was, they have a players only meeting every week.
Yeah.
And that's just what they do. Blake Chapin meets with the team, tells them the expectations for the week, and they go about their business. That I believe in. I really do buy into the idea that player-led teams are the best teams.
Yes.
When you have leadership within that team, Nick Saban would tell you the same thing. I mean, if a coach doesn't have to worry about constantly keeping up the morale of his team,
right,
or having guys that are going to hold each other accountable, he'll sign up for that all day. That's the coach doesn't want to have to do that on top of game planning for a team and developing players.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you don't take part in that too. Jeff Lebby does. But having a core group of players, and this year just seems like a whole lot more, having those players that are able to pull other guys to the side for a coach, and the coach doesn't have to go attack every single room.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I go back to the Southern Miss game. Fluff Bothwell said the difference for them in the second half was Blake Shapen coming to the running back specifically and telling them, hey, we got to be better in the second half. We're not living up to our expectations.
Yeah.
In the second half, they scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. So I think that the player-led meeting thing is often just a guise for, hey, this is the end of the road and we better turn things around. Mississippi State already establishing that before games even began and that being a routine thing, that leads me to believe there's great leadership on this team and guys like Blake Shapen and Brennan Thompson and Albert Reese. And you look at every single position group, you can pretty much pull someone out of there that I would say is a really good leader. I don't think this team had that last year.
I agree. Saban told us, I saw a clip of him telling a story about how, like 5 or 6 years after he graduated or he left Alabama, Julio Jones was just on campus working out, and he was working out with the team, and somebody drops a pass, and they like kick the ball, and they're yelling at the quarterback. And Julio Jones, who doesn't play there anymore, hasn't played there in 5, 6 years, pulls the guy aside. He's like, that's not what we do here.
Yeah.
That's the kind of culture that wins. And not everybody can have that. And I'm not saying, and even if you have great culture, it doesn't mean you're going to win like Alabama does. But man, does it go a long way when like you're saying, when coaches don't have to handle every little thing that comes up, that goes a long way.
And that's been, for me, there's been times of concern with Jeff Lebby, I think for both of us.
Yeah.
Will he be able to win here? Can he handle the head coaching thing? Is he Joe Moorhead or is he Dan Mullen? I mean, that from the start, from the beginning of his tenure here, that's been my question. Is he going to be Dan Mullen? He builds a culture here. Maybe not the exact results. Maybe he's better. Maybe he's a little worse. I don't know. But is he going to build a culture here like that where people continue to talk about what Dan Mullen did? Can Jeff Lebby be that? Or is he going to be in a tailspin like Joe Moorhead was? And so you've been sitting around waiting to see signs of that. Last year, you didn't see a whole lot of signs of that outside the fact that I think they were playing hard. You just didn't see that. To see what they did against Arizona State to win the game the way they did was big. But these little hints here and there, the leadership piece, the way these guys handle themselves on and off the field, they're not getting in trouble a lot. They're going to the library and they're reading to kids. They're bringing kids, Make-A-Wish kids to practice. Like, that's not everything. And all people want at the end of the day is to win games. But it tells you about the culture here. It's very strong. And to be able to translate that to the field last Saturday, that should alleviate a lot of concerns about Jeff Lebby and how he's building a program. I love the what they've done with this program, how they're building it from the ground up, and kind of where it is right now. I feel like it's elevating. But when you got players like that in the locker room that's going to be able to hold players accountable, that's huge. And this week, I think, will tell us a lot about this team and about this culture. If they're able to come out and just decimate Alcorn State, you don't have any issues in that ball game. Nobody's concerned in the third quarter. I think that should tell you a lot. I think we can learn something from this week.
Oh, absolutely, you can. You absolutely can learn something this week. If you play down to your level of competition, that's not a good sign. But if you come out, as you said earlier, from play one and you're locked in and you're just, you look at it, it's 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Great. That's great news for Mississippi State. All right. Hey.
Have you seen this this TCU corn dog?
No.
So it's a purple corn dog.
Okay.
And so it's called the half-acre Korean corn dog that is going to be for sale this week. It's a hot dog plus mozzarella cheese combo, dipped in ube batter, fried in panko, dusted with ube powder, and drizzled with a sweet and spicy honey.
Oh.
I'm not going to tell you what it looks like.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. I see
but
what it looks like. Now
I don't know.
it's purple at least. It's got enough purple that you don't think it's that, but it does have that look of what it looks like. This
There's
is
a couple of different things.
There's 3 days. There's 3 shows in a row. I'm on the verge of saying something I shouldn't say.
Well, there's a couple of different things it could look like. If this was floating in the water, like off Caddyshack,
Yeah, exactly.
it could be that.
Yeah.
But would you try this?
I don't like hot dogs, so no.
Oh yeah, you don't like the dog. You don't like the
if there was
the
a
wiener.
if there was a sausage in there, like a country
Country poison?
smokes, I would try it at that point. Yeah. Do you know what ube is?
Very very small
It's
knowledge
like a
on ube.
purple sweet potato.
Okay. Well, and it's also got ube powder on here.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a little sweet potato taste to it. Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever had ube.
So when we were in Chicago,
Is it a vegetable?
yeah, but they use it in a lot of desserts. Like Asian cultures use it in a lot of desserts.
That's where the powder comes from.
Yeah.
I believe.
So
They have
when we
a lot
were
of
in
powder.
Chicago, we went to Chinatown and we found some sort of dessert that Aislinn ate that had ube in it. She thought it was great, so she was happy.
Well, if you happen to be in Fort Worth this week,
Maybe get me a TCU corn dog. There you go.
yeah,
Plus, it's
bring
got
it back
cheese
for
in there.
Brian.
It's the combo. It's got the
Let Brian display it behind him in the studio.
yeah. Just put it right back there. It'd be great. All right, let's move. I don't know if Two Brothers Smoked Meats is going to be doing a corn dog like this anytime soon. They could certainly try. I mean, I don't think it would be. I think it might sell. Can we do a maroon corn dog?
Yes, can the ube be maroon?
Well,
Is there
then
a
we
way
need to
we
get
can?
I don't know what's something that's maroon that we could. I think we may just have to go food coloring on this one. I don't know that we got a natural.
Yeah, you're gonna have to manipulate this.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about we just enjoy a pulled pork grilled cheese or a prime rib sandwich and we just call it even? I think that might be the better idea. If you want to have a fantastic time this weekend, head over to Two Brothers. If you're going to be in Starkville, no better place to pregame than Two Brothers. Plenty of big screen televisions, plenty of great food, and it's a short walk over to Davis Wade Stadium for Mississippi State Alcorn. Or the Older Brother, the home of the fancy sandwich. The Older Brother might be a better choice, actually, for the corn dog here, I think. And they might, have a little more room to work with in the kitchen.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be fine.
Well, whichever one you choose, there's no crazy corn dog on the menu, but there are great food items to choose from at Two Brothers Smoked Meats and the Older Brother. Great products, great service. Every business likes to promise it to you. They deliver it to you at Advantage Business Systems. That's what they've been doing for 50 years.
Hey, brother.
When you need technology for your business, give Advantage Business Systems a call. And then if you need service, hey, guess what?
What?
It's the same people. It's the same number. You already know those guys. You're not talking to somebody new. You're not talking to somebody who's going to tell you it's going to take a week or two to get out there. Nothing like that. They're in Mississippi just like you. 601-362-9192 or visit them online at absms.com. Find out how Advantage Business Systems will help your business do business. Maroon & Co. is the place to go. Are you looking for Mississippi State gear? You get it at Maroon & Co., the biggest and best selection in all of Starkville. Everything you're looking for right now. We've been talking about their awesome selection of hats. Now they're bringing in a whole variety of Starkville versus everybody merchandise. And, of course, they just got the basics. If you just need a maroon and white polo with the state script or the interlocking MSU on it, it's there for you at Maroon & Co. Everything maroon and white under one roof. Please, we finally found one, by the way. We found an exception. We found an exclusion. So it just is what it is. That's fine. If it's just one thing, it's cool. But use our promo code Thunder15 to save 15% off on your next price. Were you raising your hand?
I was muted. I'm eating chips.
You're eating chips. What
Yeah.
kind of odds could I have gotten on the betting world if I said, "Hey, one person on this podcast is eating. Who is it?"
I hadn't had lunch yet. Thank you very much.
Neither have I. I've been so busy. I've been busy. I had to skip lunch.
Well,
I'll go get it
I
after
can be
this, though.
busy and still eat lunch.
Wow, must be nice.
How about that?
Yeah, go right
So
ahead.
I was told on the exception, you actually are kind of getting a discount
Okay.
because these shirts, the bottom land specifically, are more expensive than the other shirts, the other T-shirts. They're the Mossy Oak brand or whatever.
Okay.
It's more expensive. And white is actually going like a little discounted on his prices there. So you actually are kind of getting the Thunder 15 discount. You just can't apply it to the already discounted rate.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at a lot of these shirts elsewhere, they're going to be more expensive than they are at Maroon and Company. Wyatt is doing a service for the community.
Very good. Check it out, Maroon & Co. Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden. Do you need to work out in your yard this weekend? You're working around the house. Or are you just cooking out? Whatever you do around your house, Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden has a product that makes your life easier. If you are looking to get the grass mowed, we all are. Doesn't matter how big your yard is. If it's got a little yard or a big yard, there's a product for you at John Deere mower for you at Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden with great prices and great financing available. If you're looking for new power tools for home repair projects, they've got them at Scruggs. If you're looking to get a new grill, they've got them at Scruggs. Heck, if you're just looking for a cold beer, they got the cheapest beer in the state of Mississippi at Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden. Check them out this weekend. Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden in Saltillo. They have what you want for less. It is the middle of football season. Not even the middle yet. But we got to talk about this baseball schedule that came out yesterday. Mississippi State has not announced the full schedule yet. This is only the conference games, and we went over them yesterday. But, Robbie, this is a schedule that if State is an 18, 19-win team on this schedule, they're probably a 3 or 4 seed at worst nationally.
They're easily a national seed.
Yeah, there's just not any questions. Let's go over one more time. Conference play starts Friday the 13th of March in Fayetteville against the Arkansas Razorbacks. That is a team Mississippi State has not had a lot of success with over the past few decades. Vanderbilt is the home opener. That's a rematch of the 2021 National Championship Series in Starkville. March 27th, Robbie and I will be in Oxford, Mississippi. You ready, Robbie? We're ready for that. Great. In Oxford, March 27th through the 29th. Thursday through Saturday series with the Georgia Bulldogs on the first weekend of April, April 2nd through the 4th. April 10th through the 12th is against the Tennessee Volunteers. Robbie, this is my prediction for Super Bulldog weekend.
Anarchy.
Tennessee, Mississippi State. That's Super Bulldog. That's my prediction.
It's got to be.
South Carolina the following weekend in Columbia. LSU, April 24th through the 26th. Got the announcement yesterday that will be also the weekend of the Starkville Derby. So that will be a massive weekend in Starkville in the Cotton District. Go ahead and reserve a table at Two Brothers and Ben 612 and the Landing now. Do it now. You need to go ahead and get ahead of that. State will be on the road to Austin, Texas, take on the Longhorns May 1st through 3rd. Final home series of the year, May 8th through the 10th against the Auburn Tigers. And then, as always, it's a Thursday through Saturday to finish up the regular season in College Station against Texas A&M. Buddy, they didn't miss anyone. I mean, who's the team you're like, I can't believe they're not playing them that you might think was going to be tough? Maybe Florida. Maybe I don't know, Kentucky. I don't know. They're playing everybody. They got
whoever is mid in the SEC.
They didn't get them.
Mid to bad is off of this list.
Yeah, State. The conference saw what State did to Missouri last year and was like, never again. We're not letting that happen again.
Well, State has had a very favorable schedule last 2 years. Let's be honest. They didn't have Vanderbilt this year. They didn't have Tennessee.
They didn't have A&M last year.
They didn't have A&M. Which that actually probably would have been.
Yeah, they would have rather played.
But on the surface, it was not.
Yeah, going into the season, they didn't play Arkansas last year.
Didn't play Arkansas. Yeah. Trying to think who else. You know, Alabama's program is starting to climb, but State has pretty much dominated them for the last several years. You don't play Missouri this year. This schedule, there is not a single week off. The worst team you play is South Carolina, but you have to go on the road. So it's the home schedule, especially people shouldn't be upset about that. That should be a dream.
Oh, we're gonna have massive crowds.
The crowds are going to be insane every single week. Vandy, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn.
I mean, you got a chance
nuts.
just on the surface. If this team is what we think this team is going to be, those Tennessee and LSU Saturday games are the all-time record for attendances is in danger those days.
Hot ticket. Hot ticket. Especially
LSU.
Tennessee, if that is your
That's
Super Bowl
funny
weekend, which that
That's kind of funny. You said especially Tennessee, and I said especially LSU. I say because LSU will bring fans. Tennessee will bring fewer fans. LSU fans will come to Dudy Noble.
well, I'm just thinking about if that's Super Bulldog,
Yeah.
which it looks about the range that Super Bulldog
It
usually
feels like
is.
that's going to be. I don't think they'll pile Super Bulldog on top of the Starkville Derby.
No. Yeah, LSU weekend's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, but here's the thing: if you think that your team is going to be what you think it's going to be, you shouldn't be scared of this schedule.
No.
I mean, this is a schedule that's going to prep you for Omaha, and you have the roster and you have the coaching staff in place. I mean, this isn't a rebuilding year for Mississippi State.
No.
The expectations here are at an all-time high. You went out the transfer portal. You signed one of the best classes in the transfer portal. You brought in an elite coaching staff. You're bringing back a lot of huge pieces on this team.
Yeah.
It's got the makings to be a great season, even with the schedule that you have.
What do you think this team is preseason in the D1 poll?
It's got to be top 5.
I would think so, yeah.
I don't think if you follow college baseball and you look at everything objectively here, and you consider everybody that follows college baseball religiously considers Brian O'Connor one of the best coaches in America.
Right.
He's got his staff. He's brought in several players from Virginia that were highly ranked players coming out of high school. He got an All-American at third base. You have a lot of talent returning from the lineup, pitching, everything. If you look at the totality of Mississippi State's roster and their coaching staff, you cannot objectively tell me this isn't a top 5 team. There's nothing about it that is below a top 5 ranking. There's nothing. Unless you're just saying it's going to take some time for Brian O'Connor, which I have a hard time believing. So, number 3, maybe. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think that you can argue against this team being a top 5 team preseason.
Yeah.
Now, it might take some time for them to gel or whatever, but I talked to a recruit yesterday who visited Starkville over the weekend. He was talking to Bryce Chance, and Bryce Chance told him that this is the closest team that he's ever been on, and they've been together for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so Bryce Chance has been here for a long time. He's telling a kid after 3 weeks they have an unbreakable bond. You shouldn't have any issues gelling. So, yeah, I think this is going to be
unbelievable.
The expectations are through the roof.
Yeah, and then the schedule is just this is a schedule that if State powers through it, people are going to be like, man, they going to be the odds-on favorite to win the national title when we get to the end of May.
If it's an 18-19 wins season, it's going to be a team that is going to be a heavy favorite.
Yeah,
because there's some chances in here to. I mean, at Arkansas, State has not had success at Arkansas in years.
That's why I love that series being first, Robbie, because we're going to
get out of the way
pretty quick, right?
Yep.
And then the other side of that is I don't think State's going to win the SEC this year because if you look at Arkansas' schedule, they miss everybody. State might be the hardest. They don't play. Arkansas's not playing LSU or Texas. Historically, those are 2 schools they should always play. So I have no idea what's going on there. But State may be the best team in the conference, but not be able to win the conference because Arkansas' schedule is just soft.
And you look at the past, these teams that have come in as heavy favorites, they don't win the title.
Yeah.
So it might be a good thing if Mississippi State isn't the SEC champ or number 1 team in the country.
You might be right. So, all right, tomorrow's show, 3 Ps for Alcorn. We may have to take a little bit of a different path on that one, but we'll get through it as we talk about Mississippi State and Alcorn as State looks to go to 3-0 on the young campaign. By the way, I just want to let you know something. You'll laugh. So, a friend of mine, her son, she's a diehard Bulldog, right? She went to school here, but her son went to Alabama, and she did one of those like Facebook memory things where it's like there's a picture of him as a little kid in his Mississippi State shirt, and then there's a picture of him at Alabama at a game wearing an Alabama shirt. She's like, "Where did I go wrong?" And I put on there, I was like, "Look, not everybody is built to be a fan of a team that's 2-0. All right, 1-1 teams need fans too." And I was like, I can't believe I got to say that about Alabama. It made me so
Finally get to make that joke.
What a great day.
It's been a long time,
Been a long time coming. All right, guys. Talk to you again tomorrow. For Robbie Falk, I'm Brian Hadad. Thanks for listening to Thunder and Lightning here on Super Talk, Mississippi.